Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast. We have an exceptional guest for you today. She is a cybersecurity expert, a financial industry trailblazer, and dear friend. Please help me welcome to the show Toby Libbra, CEO of 459 Consulting. Toby, it's great to have you.
Good morning. I'm still not used to hearing that.
Well, it is great to have you, and let's jump right into it.
Absolutely.
CEO 459 Consulting. Tell me how you came
Yeah.
up with the name. Tell me why you started the company. Let's jump into that first.
Yeah, it's a funny story. It's kind of fun, but also maybe slightly embarrassing. During the COVID outbreak, cyber became a disaster, especially for our financial institutions. Hackers were absolutely using our weaknesses during that time, everybody shifting to remote work. We were tired. There is no other word for what cybersecurity people were during 2020 and all of COVID. And so we always laughed at 459 was our breaking point. And, we got 1 minute left in a 9 to 5 day, which is no one in the security world's real hours. But we would always get together. We had a little speakeasy set up in the office. And so at 4:59, we all would vent and talk about our day and what was happening and the calls and the breaches and trying to get people prepared for remote working. It was just a crazy time. And we always laughed when we went out on our own and started our own company. It would be 4:59.
I love it. And what a great story to lead into. We're hearing about more data breaches. Every time you turn on the TV, you look at the news, you go online, security breach after security breach, and there's so many aspects of cybersecurity that we could jump into. But this is your area of expertise. Let's really talk about, I think, one of the areas that a lot of lenders, a lot of financial institutions are struggling with is, let's start with policies, procedures. Do they have them? Do they not have them? I'm going to turn it over to you and let you share some of your knowledge and insights in this important area.
Absolutely. When we talk about InfoSec policy and procedures and manuals, it's really the foundation of your house. If the foundation is not strong, we know what we're left with. We have 1,000 parables to talk about this, and really your InfoSec policy and procedures is your foundation. That is what your entire house is built on. I can't tell you how many times we get calls about reviewing or creating, and they're simple boilerplate 10-15 pages. Sometimes they still have the fill your name in here in the middle of it because somebody didn't know to do it. And I can't stress enough how much this foundation is the utmost importance for your organization. You can have all the production in the world, but one ransomware can take that all away. And your policy and procedures is the key to prevention.
So let's talk about what are some of the specific aspects in that guideline. And more importantly, why do so many companies fail to really have one and be prepared?
I think what we run into the most is, the organizations feel like they're safe because they have not been hit yet. As you talked about in the beginning, we are in a world of when, not if.
Yep.
The financial industry holds the keys to the data kingdom. We have everything for identity theft, fraud, any of the things that come out of these breaches. If you think about what you gather in a loan, it is the complete, all-encompassing fingerprint of a person. And that is what they're looking for. This isn't always just about a ransomware. Hackers have multiple streams of revenue in their careers. On top of a ransom being requested, they have sellable data. They have driver's license, W-2s, social security numbers, addresses, everything they need to sell that data to other bad guys. So I think that's what we really have to realize is the importance of what our specific industry of finance, that we hold more acute, perfect data than any other industry out, maybe outside of healthcare.
Right. Well, and you're seeing that in healthcare just as well. So let's go through what are some of the things in this procedures? What are some of the things that if people want to take a proactive step, what do they need to do to get ready? Because you said, oh, some people have a template, they haven't really filled it out, they downloaded something online. Why doesn't that really work? It's better than nothing, but we can't live in a world of better than nothing. We have to do a lot better. So walk me through, how do they get a hold of you? How would you kind of approach helping somebody really get this part of the house in order?
And so what we typically do is once we have a contract with a client, we ask them to send us what they have. We're going to review that first. And 9 times out of 10, it is very simplistic. I will tell you, most of our manuals that come out for a mid-size IMB are going to be 150 to 160 pages. So when you think of a 10-page boilerplate manual, you see what's missing. Disaster recovery, incident response, business continuity plans. These are all included in your policies and procedures when we do them, but we really get to know the staff. The very first thing we do is get with your IT team. They are the builders of your highway. We're just the cops on it.
Yep.
So we do not pretend to come in and we're not going to tell IT what they're doing wrong. This is not a gotcha shop. We just want to get those holes plugged and things figured out. And much like we're not going to come in and build your network and take the IT's job, they don't do what the IS people do. So we really go in and just review that. Then we have lengthy meetings with your executive team, with managerial teams, to know what they're doing in their processes, what they expect of their people, determine levels of access for different people within the organization. I think that's another thing. There's no reason that everyone in your organization needs the same level of access to your data that the CFO has, that there's just no reason for it. So we really walk you through that, setting that up, but it's really after hearing about your entire organization and your processes and controls that you want in place. The last thing you want is a security person coming in and disrupting the flow of business, because then you're just going to have mutiny.
Exactly. And that's going to lead to one of the questions I have is, okay, it's 150, 160, 180 pages. How do you then take that and get buy-in and really, more importantly, get that training so that people understand, boy, I shouldn't click on this, I shouldn't do that? Because you know far better than I do, but a lot of what starts as it's an internal person who clicked a link,
Yes.
loaded something, did something. So how do you take that? Because I mean, we know from working in this industry for years, and you can roll out new software, you can roll out new tech, you can have this great manual, but if people don't know what to do with it, it's
Absolutely.
still not that good. So walk me through that a little bit.
And it's really where the awareness training comes in. So most of the companies that we work with and contract with, we do a virtual CISO program, Chief Information Security Officer. So a lot of these companies are not at the size to have an on-staff person. So we contract X amount of hours, typicals around 300 hours a year, and we act as their virtual CISO. So that includes these policies and procedures. It also includes awareness training. So once we get the PMPs nailed down, verified with all of the executive team, then we also do an annual awareness training. We incorporate all of the new aspects, and everybody has a role. When you think of disaster recovery, whether that's digital or physical, I live here on the Gulf Coast, so we are Hurricane Alley.
Yep.
We incorporate into our companies down here physical disaster. We work with a company in the Midwest, IMB in the Midwest. They're just riddled with tornadoes. So this isn't always just about digital disaster. This can be about physical. So these are all incorporated into these policies and procedures, but we do a thing called tabletop exercises. So basically, we recreate a disaster, whether that is a cyber breach or a physical disaster, and we sit in a conference room with everyone that has a role in incident response, and we practice one. We usually do that once a year, and it's just muscle memory. If the house catches on fire and you've never been in a house fire, you're panicked. If
Right.
you have practiced which window to go out and here's the ladder and all of these things, it's not as much panic. The stress level goes down and everybody knows what their role is. From we assign media coordinators to be talking about the breach and what happened. You have data reporting laws across the country in every state. So, who is doing this? Who is speaking to attorneys? Who is speaking to emergency management in a physical case? So, everyone is assigned a role, and we practice that with them once a year. So, everybody knows exactly what to do the minute any type of incident occurs.
I love it. And I think it's so critical. One of the mistakes that so many of the companies make is they really don't put much effort into us until it's too late. And then
Yes.
they're calling a company like yours in a total panic. There's a ransomware, or our system is frozen up, or we
Yes.
had this breach. Why and how can you impress upon them enough to get started earlier before something happens?
Preventive, I'm going to speak the finance language. It's cheaper. Preventative measures are a fraction of a cost of what an incident is going to cost your bottom line. You are talking anywhere from millions in a ransomware or loss of business to a couple thousand for some of these products to be done for an entire year span. So the preventative measures are just astronomically more cost effective to have your house in order and ready to go and know we have a dead stop point of where we can stop this when something occurs. The other thing we see a lot is somebody does click on an email. They're scared to tell anyone. We cannot live in that fear culture anymore with our staff. You're going to get fired if you're the one that caused a breach. Now, you click on 4 or 5 emails. I'm not doing well in my awareness training with you, but it's going to happen. And we can't live in that fear culture. We have to have a culture in these organizations that says, if you even suspect you did something, the faster we know about it, the faster it is contained. If it sits there for 2 or 3 days and somebody's scared to, say, hey, I may have messed up, that is sitting and spinning in your system for that entire amount of time. But a lot of that comes out of fear culture, that people think they're going to be the ones fired. No, you don't want to be the one that caused a breach. But if you immediately say, I think I did something I wasn't supposed to, we can stop it much earlier.
What are some tips you can give financial institutions, as they get prepared for this? How do they sign up with you? How do they start being proactive instead of waiting till after the fact? What's the best way they can contact you? What's the next steps once they do? Walk me through that process.
Right. So the very first thing is we're going to tell you we're going to want to review these policies and procedures. We have to make sure that foundation is in order. And then the steps follow after that. Once we have that done, we will start with awareness training. If that's something that you want to add, we will do the tabletop exercise once a year. Also, vulnerability scans and pen testing. A lot of companies just come in and do your pen tests for your SOC audits, or vendors that request that you have had a penetration test in the year. The issue with that, again, we just don't believe in being a gotcha shop. We are going to do a vulnerability scan. We're going to see where those weaknesses are, and what we found, where we were able to gain access. And then we're going to walk you through how to fix that. And when that is done over those next few weeks, then we're going to run your penetration test, and you're going to come out better in the end. I don't think we ever need to, as security people, be on such a power trip that we're just trying to find all the ways that you've screwed up or
Right.
things that have been missed. I want to find out where the holes are, and I'm going to help you fix them. And then we're going to go forward with those penetration tests for your audits.
Toby, you're always a wealth of knowledge and expertise. You and I could sit here and talk for hours. if people are interested in getting more information, how can they get a hold of you? How can they find out more about this so that they can move in the right direction?
Absolutely. So my email is Toby, Tobi, at 459consult.com. And our website is www.459consult.com. So you can reach me either one of those. We also have a great LinkedIn presence. So feel free to check out the page on LinkedIn and follow that.
Outstanding. Well, we will definitely do that. You guys, you got to do something now. Don't wait. Now's the time. Be proactive. Don't wait till it's too late. It's not a matter of if, it's really a matter of when. So let's go out there, do it. Toby, I can't thank you enough, my friend. You're always so insightful.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Michael.
being a guest on this episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast.
I appreciate you. Thank you.